our community that's on both our channels to the DPS channel, so that eventually we just have the show, the DPS podcast, on that channel exclusively every week.
Yep,
And it's up. All right, let me just go find that. And yep, there it is. Xbox need more time to bring Call of Duty titles to Game Pass. That's what you got?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, so all set. So we're gonna hit that transition. Also, let me, Forte, can you take the link to the stream and put it in the chat so that we make sure that for the replay, people who are watching this on replay, they can just hit that link and switch over as well, because the redirect's not going to work for them.
Yep.
By the way, the gun I'm using in this footage, the BP-50, love it.
Oh, really?
Not as good as the MCW or the WSP Swarm, but it's pretty good. Pretty good.
Link is, yeah, we
You know,
appreciate.
you know, you get in YouTube Studio, you can just hit the little share button and yeah, and get the link.
I know. Now I know. All right, I'm sharing it in. Well, I didn't
and
know.
knowing is
half the battle.
Half the battle. Yeah.
Hey, what did that come from? Do you remember?
G.I. Joe.
One of the greatest.
Well, I mean, what else? What else would it come from?
Greatest thing. And dropping in your chat. What's up, Big Mike? You're the last person that's going to be in there before it comes.
Boom. Cool. All right. Let's do this.
Welcome for another episode, or the continuation of an episode of Damage Per Second podcast with the homie Slow-Mo. He did a great job narrating us on over here, and I'm gonna start seeing the people pouring in just a second. Slow-Mo. Oh, here they come. Really appreciate you guys.
Can you guys hear me well?
Yep, we hear you.
Okay, excellent.
Oh yeah, well I already had OBS running everything was already running in the background the whole show, just waiting for us to switch over. So final topic, Slow-Mo. Final topic is Phil Spencer talks about we got to wait just a little bit longer for Call of Duty to hit Game Pass. Now, this has been a topic of conversation across a lot of different medias, not just the gaming community in general, but, pundits in the media, a lot of rumors out there why they got to wait, serviceability when it comes to PC, contract disputes when it comes to PlayStation, how that overall marketing deal might work. And so there's a lot of different reasons why a lot of people are speculating why, but we're here basically just to talk about the interview that Phil Spencer did have where he went on, he went out and basically talked about just having to need more time for this game to wait. Now, of course, Phil Spencer was being vague, like Microsoft has kind of been over the course of the last couple of weeks with a lot of different stuff. What was your takeaway with Call of Duty and why we haven't even seen some of the older titles hit, Game Pass just yet? And we're going into probably the 4th month that they had complete control of Activision Blizzard at this point. Why do you think we're still waiting?
We're still waiting because of the Microsoft Store and how garbage it is.
Good God.
It's just to keep it a buck. This is the reason why we're waiting. We're waiting because the Microsoft Store has been so bad on PC that everybody, all third-party publishers, have been skipping putting their games there for years. And whenever they are trying to put games on in Game Pass and Game Pass Ultimate, the promise there is that you're getting these games, this dual entitlement of these games on PC as well as console, Xbox. And where on PC? Well, the Xbox app. That's how you're getting it through Game Pass. That's the only place on the PC where you can enjoy Game Pass. And so with that said, what this means is all those games that are on the BattleNet and Steam, well, they gotta get those games into the Xbox app, the Microsoft Store, and that's going to take time. There's a lot of Call of Duty games. They come out a new Call of Duty game every year, and in order to get that done, it will take some time. Now, it takes as long as like creating a brand new game from scratch, but it's also not as quick as pressing a couple of keys on a keyboard and it's all said and done. You know, I think that's the reason why it's being delayed.
Yeah, so for me, ultimately it keeps coming back to they haven't given any type of reassurance or any direct information on when to expect these games. We're finally starting to see the remnants of some of the ABK games in general, like especially on the Blizzard side with Diablo coming very soon. I believe that's coming in May of this year. They're dropping that inside of Game Pass. Um, it just Call of Duty is the one that everybody cares about, and I think the fact that we haven't seen the mainline Call of Duties hit yet. Um, and I do agree with your overall take on the PlayStation, oh, not the PlayStation Store, on the Xbox Store front on PC. But why do you think they just? I mean, I understand that it's the Microsoft Store, but they purchase Activision Blizzard, which means they outright own the BattleNet, storefront now.
Mm-hmm.
They literally have a built-in storefront now by just purchasing ABK. And a lot of people were wondering and hoping that maybe this is their way of transitioning the Microsoft Store and the Xbox Store and not really using the Microsoft Store and just rebrand BattleNet to be like, the new hub for all of the Game Pass stuff, and on top of any games that you buy on Xbox or anything like that could be housed inside of that ecosystem. Because the one thing we can't say is BattleNet does it works. It's not like that does not work. The games that you buy in there, the games that install in there, the games that are played in there really don't have issues with being played. Now, of course, I feel like you have to open up a little bit of the networking because you're going to have a heavier server load. But does it really get heavier than World of Warcraft and Diablo and all of those type of games in there?
I think on in the technical side of things, there's more work for their engineers, their software engineers, to do in order to get Game Pass running in BattleNet than simply putting these games into the Xbox app. I think now long term, I think there likely would be some kind of integration of BattleNet and the Xbox app, hopefully, where the overall experience means that things run as smoothly as they do on BattleNet. BattleNet's not perfect either. Like I've told you before about how like when Call of Duty has constant updates all the time, and how when I'm downloading those updates, it gets to like 95% completion, and then decides to just go under 1 megabytes per second for some stupid reason. But it's not perfect, but it's not as bad as the Xbox app. I think I kind of lost my train of thought about Hi-Fi Rush earlier in the podcast. I was discussing an issue I had with Hi-Fi Rush. It's because a year after it launched, and in the Xbox app, Hi-Fi Rush crashed on me before I could finish the first level, and I'm just like. And people are like, oh, it's one crash, no big deal. The game's been out for a year. It shouldn't be crashing at that point.
I agree.
And then this is on the heels of me one night trying to play Starfield after their latest update, and I couldn't play Starfield because it was syncing data. And there's a bug on Xbox app games on PC where it's constantly syncing data. And there's nothing you can do about it. There's no troubleshoot steps to do anything. You just gotta let whatever's going on in the background with Xbox get it figured out on their end, because there's nothing that's a problem with you. These things should not be happening, and these things don't happen on other launchers that people consider to be garbage. And they don't have these kind of issues. You having these kind of issues, you being Microsoft, means that your launcher is among the worst, and everyone has been known that. And this is part of the reasons why PC gamers don't want to go there. Instead, they will choose to buy your games on Steam. And if your goal is to grow Game Pass, you may be fine taking that 70% of the revenue off the Steam sale, but they want the Game Pass subscription more than that, and because of how trash the app is, they're leaving that on the table. Now back to BattleNet and the integration, it's probably going to be easier to just get those games quicker to get those games into the Xbox app than modify the BattleNet to have Game Pass. And considering what their goals are, that probably is one of the long-term goals anyway. But if that means that this is about a bigger overhaul to how their apps run for gaming, then they're probably just going to have that be a part of that implementation instead of pushing that kind of a very minute modification to the BattleNet app as is. So that's why I think where we're kind of at with that, and that's the reason why it's been delayed. My question for you, Forte, is that do you think so it's rumored that the next Call of Duty game is coming out later this year is Black Ops.
Yep.
Do you think that game, I know we kind of discussed this last week, but has your opinion changed on that? Do you think that game is not going to be in Game Pass later this year?
Well, if we go off of the interview with Stephen Totillo, he basically said our intent is the full portfolio of games from ZeniMax, Activision Blizzard, and Xbox Game Studios will be on Game Pass day one. He also says we're doing the back end work to make them come to PC and console simultaneously. So he actually named Activision Blizzard games. Call of Duty, like, I know we like to grasp at straws when they say, well, you didn't mention Call of Duty. I mean, he mentioned ABK, and Call of Duty is like the biggest part of that. So I do believe that the games are going to come day and date. I just, as much as I want to say this Call of Duty is going to come day and date, I don't think this Call of Duty is going to hit day and date. I think because by the time, you got to think, they have all of the older Call of Duties they have to put out. They're not going to put Modern Warfare 3 in there and then turn around and throw a brand new one like whatever the new Black Ops game is going to be. I think it's going to be kind of a slow rollout. I think you'll probably see all of it maybe by the spring of next year, because I do think they want to give Call of Duty a little bit of a chance to breathe at the very beginning, because they're going to probably throw I can see them throwing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 in there before the launch of the new one. Maybe something over the September or October, they throw Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 in there to get people kind of, super hyped for the new one that's getting ready to come out, whatever it's going to be, Black Ops 3. People are going to go out and buy Black Ops 3. And then I do think starting 2025, I think that's when you'll start seeing Call of Duty hit day and date. Not because of any marketing deals, anything like that. I just think they have so many games that they have to put into the portfolio that they're not going to want to put in their Call of Duty. They're all pretty much the same. They just have different stories. The multiplayer is pretty consistent across all of the games, especially now that they integrated them all into the Call of Duty app. So I think single player wise, it won't be a problem. But when it comes to the multiplayer, which is the thing people play the most, they don't want to segregate their, you know, their base. They want them to kind of stick with one game and move to the next one. And I think their goal is going to get Modern Warfare 3 in there right before the start of the new one, probably a couple months before. That's going to kind of feed into the new Black Ops. And then they're going to like use that as the funnel to get people to go to the next one and the next one. So I do think there's going to be a point at this year you're going to get a huge drop of Call of Duty games in there, probably over the summer. I can see a lot of those old Call of Duty hit the back catalog. I just don't see Modern Warfare 3 hitting until the end of the year. And I think that's going to kind of affect them putting whatever the new Black Ops in there day one. But I do think starting next year, you're going to see Call of Duty games hit day and date because that's what he said. But then again, he's also said a lot, and
Mhm.
that's changed over the course of the last couple of years. So who knows?
Yeah. Can we discuss something we mentioned earlier?
Yeah.
Can we
Oh, we're
discuss
yeah, yeah.
so we're starting to see a lot of marketing come out
Uh
for
huh.
these four games that have gone multi-platform.
Yep.
Not the only four, clearly. There are going to be more, but just these four. Have you noticed something odd with
Yeah.
the way these games are marketed? You have?
No, you said, have I noticed something odd about how they're marketed?
Yeah.
The Call of Duty games, or just in the way they're
No, no,
marketing in
the four.
general?
I'm talking about the four games that Sea of Thieves,
Mm-hmm.
Pentiment, Grounded, and Hi-Fi Rush. Have you noticed something odd about those games?
They have no marketing branding on them.
Yeah,
Yeah, I noticed
yeah.
that. There's no
I
branding
mean,
at all on those
two
games
of
going
them,
forward.
three of them are being published by Xbox Game Studios,
With no branding.
and you don't see Xbox Game Studios anywhere.
Sure don't.
Why do you think that is?
Oh man, well, there's a lot of reasons that could be. I mean, is it because you think they don't? I don't know. That's a good question because even MLB, when they talk about it, I don't think the commercial says it's going to Xbox. It shows the PlayStation logo, but
Hmm.
when you're on the console, it does show a PlayStation logo.
Yeah, it does. Yes, it does.
It does
And
show it,
it looks like when Sea of Thieves shows up on PlayStation, you're not going to see Xbox Game Studios
which would be
there
insane. So they're
and
about
on the splash screen as the game's loading up.
that would be. So you think that would be the compromise for PlayStation, allowing those games to be on their platform, that they don't have marketing saying Xbox on them?
I don't know why. I don't know. I really don't know
I mean,
why
because why wouldn't
that
you?
would be
But that's
a
showing.
thing.
But see, that's the thing though. That kind of shows off. I mean, that's not. Yes, it's Xbox branding, but it's more about telling people who the game is from.
Right. And then wouldn't you want to be promoting your brand and your platform so that if people really enjoy this game, then hey,
They look for more
the
games from those people.
right on your platform where those games are supposed to be. So it's just like it just seems like yet another way that they are just I'm just going to keep it up. They don't care about the Xbox brand. I don't think, and I'm not, that doesn't mean they're not going to make hardware, but I don't think they care about the Xbox brand. I don't think they care about the promoting the brand and pushing it. I mean, like people try to minimize the people talking about this, but on their website, I went back in the Wayback Machine. You've seen this, Forte. I
Yeah, when we
showed it
did it
to you.
together. Yeah, we did it all together.
At one point last year, every webpage that promoted games coming soon, had, and you've seen how these web pages look, where you go to the web page for, say, Hellblade 2, and then
Yep.
you start to scroll down and you start to see it's like marketing for everything that is surrounded around that particular game. At one point in time, for Hellblade 2 and Forza Motorsport, when you would go there, you would see the logo of Xbox Series X/S. You would see that branded logo that they have there. That would be the signifier that the consoles that this game is going to are these consoles. And then as you scroll down, you would see a little, like, small little marketing for Xbox Series X and S. It will show you a picture of both of the consoles together, and then, you know, the whole marketing blurb on it. And you scroll down a little further, and there's Game Pass there. If you look at it now, they've taken out everything that says Xbox Series X and S. It just says console. And when you scroll down, the blurb, the marketing blurb, it was the first thing there for the Xbox Series X and S, is gone, and it just skips the Game Pass. And I'm just like,
Does.
why are you no longer marketing a product that you still sell? And if people don't believe what I'm saying, go to the Xbox webpage, take the link, go into the Wayback Machine, which is another web page where they have archived the older versions of that web page, and look for yourself.
Huh.
It's odd. So I say all that to say, they just don't care
See,
about
okay,
this anymore.
so it's hard to say they don't care because they spent $70 billion.
No, they
They
don't care about
care,
the Xbox brand.
but they
They
spent
care
70,
about making money in gaming.
but that's the
But they don't
Xbox
care about
brand.
the X.
They can't do it.
No, it's
They
not.
can't do it
It's
off. They
not.
can't do it without. Listen,
They
initially they
took
can't. Go
They
ahead.
took the word Xbox off of Game Pass. It's not just X.
Well,
It was
they
Xbox
did that.
Game Pass.
They
Now
did
it's
that a
just
long.
Game
Well,
Pass.
they did that a long time ago. That was
Look,
they
they
did.
are removing Xbox out of the marketing
Out of the
of
lexicon.
everything.
Out of the
The
lexicon.
lexicon. Yeah.
Yeah. That should
Xbox Game
shocking.
Studios publishes this game. Okay, so on Nintendo Switch, we're just going to take that out. We're just going
Yeah.
to say it's made by Obsidian. It's made by Rare.
Shout out to Rare
Why?
dropping. Shout out to Rare
You know,
dropping their very
Bethesda
first.
publishes Hi-Fi Rush, and I saw in the marketing for Hi-Fi Rush, I see Bethesda there.
Yeah, you'll see. Yeah, not that.
I'm just saying. You see the publisher for that game?
You do, but you don't see. Yeah, that does. Yeah, when you think about it, you would think, yeah, yeah, cause Sea of Thieves, if you just take Sea of Thieves by itself, that is of all of those games, that is a true Xbox game studio, not one that they purchased over the course of the last 5 years. They purchased that
Right.
years ago. Like Rare's been with them since 360.
Since 360.
So that is a legit Xbox game studio. And the fact that it doesn't even show XGS on the splash screen where it does the little animation with the swirl that goes around Xbox Game Studios. I truly wonder if it has something to do with the fact that it's because they are still a platform holder. And they just don't want the word Xbox in it. Like, do they like? But
So how do you explain the website then?
Well, that's complete. Yeah. Well, well, listen,
It's
that's
Xbox.com.
I mean, yeah, that's completely different. It's Xbox.com. So, but I don't know. It's very hard to, and I can see why a lot of people are upset about this because it's like they don't know what to think. It's like all of this messaging makes you feel like, w- how can you go from? I think everybody, because they were super happy that Microsoft plunged, and remember we kept saying that Xbox finally, or Microsoft finally gave a dang about gaming. But I don't think everybody I don't think people knew that this would be the overall, repercussions of Microsoft caring about gaming. I was talking to, shout out to JD. I was talking to him earlier. I was talking to my brother, shout out to him, and that was a great show with you guys last week. I was talking to him and I was like, you know, when you go out and spend $7 billion on Bethesda, it's like, okay, we're gonna give you the tools that you need in order to, keep the ship sailing in the direction you wanted to go in. You only got 4 first party studios. We spent a lot of money. Now you're up to like 23. With all these acquisitions. So Microsoft spent a lot of money, about probably $10 billion, probably a little bit more than that, on acquisitions of all of these studios to get them to the number they were at. They were fine with that, I think. Though the oversight stayed the same. Phil Spencer still had complete control of everything going on with Xbox, and I still think he has that today. But the difference is when you spend $70 billion, that's a lot different. That's a whole different level of oversight right there. It's like it's like the oversight that is over Xbox itself now. Microsoft just can't turn a blind eye to that no more. It's like, yeah, there's got to be a lot of things that change with the purchase of something like Activision Blizzard. So I do, like, to this point, everybody believes it. There's a lot of agendas and there's like a war going on between Xbox and Microsoft themselves. But I also think nobody expected this to be the outcome on the Microsoft side, where everybody kept saying Microsoft, they got time. They're going to make all this money back. But people thought Microsoft was going to be patient and be like, yo, this money could just come as it's going to come. But that's not guaranteed, because who knows, Call of Duty may not be the juggernaut it is 10 years from now. You may not make as
Yeah, that's
much
true.
money. You may not make as much money off of Call of Duty, 15 years from now. Like, we all may look at Call of Duty and say, oh man, that game's never going to die. There was also a moment where I thought Halo would never die either. Because we went from spending billions of dollars in marketing on Halo when it came to Halo 3, and look where Halo is now, just over, what, 15 years later. So who's to say Call of Duty is going to have the same staying power? It's been good to now, but other games are coming out. We went through the live service, part of gaming, and some people made it through, some people didn't. But everything has to come to an end. So Microsoft's probably looking at it like, we need to strike while the iron's hot. We need to put these games in more places. We got to make sure that we monetize our content. If we're not going to sell it on our platform, we're going to sell it on others. We're not going to put this game directly into Game Pass, because even knowing that Phil Spencer said in this quote that, all Activision games and, Bethesda and ZeniMax games and, Xbox Game Studio games are going to be in Game Pass. The only ones that haven't shown up in there are what? The Activision games, especially Call of Duty. So, the ones that matter the most, honestly, the ones that have the chance of bringing more people into the ecosystem. So it's a strange time if you're an Xbox gamer. I mean, they're giving you a lot of choice, but what's the consequences to that? Slow mo. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, the consequence looks like to me is
I don't think this is a bad decision though. I think you still think it's a bad decision that they're
It's
doing
a
it.
terrible decision. It's a terrible decision in my opinion.
That they're
It
putting the
is
games in other places. I mean, Call of Duty they can't help
yeah.
because of regulators and stuff. But
Right, right.
you still think
Stuff that
just
you're
the
forced
other
to do.
games.
Yeah, no problem. Like, and people bring up Minecraft as if Minecraft wasn't already everywhere before they acquired it. Like that's not like that's not them reneging on promises and statements that they've made. This is about devaluing the platform that you created. It's about stating this is, we made these acquisitions to provide exclusive content to Xbox gamers and then doing the opposite. And sure, there are going to be people who say, oh, well, I don't think this is a big deal. The majority of those people are also like myself, where they don't play primarily on Xbox. And so they're selfishly talking about how it's not that big a deal because it's not that big a deal to them. I'm speaking on a grander scale. Me personally, these decisions don't affect me personally when it
Right.
comes to how I engage with Xbox games. I would have been playing them on PC, and after the decisions they made, I'm still just going to be playing them on PC.
Yeah.
But outside of just what this does to the Xbox only gamer, who there'll be some that's like, I'm still playing these games, so what? But they've devalued their platform when they take their exclusive games and they put them on their rival platforms.
Mm-hmm.
It's signaling to third-party developers that they don't believe in this platform. Even they don't believe that this platform is all they need for sales. So why should I put my games here, especially when you already sell games less than both of your rivals? It's a reach for me to even put my games here to begin with. Now I really don't feel like it's necessary. It's a slow erosion that you will see continue as it goes further, and we saw people, out in social media complaining about yet another game. I can't remember which one it was, but the game revealed today that is even going to PlayStation 4. But it's not coming to Xbox Series X and S.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
You got mass, and it's not just small games. Big games like Genshin Impact, still not on Xbox. Still. Final Fantasy 14, just getting on Xbox. I mean, like, people gotta stop ignoring this stuff at some point. And we've heard the arguments. Oh, it's just a Japanese thing. It's just Japanese developers. Genshin Impact is Chinese. They are not the same. Korean developers skipping Xbox is not Japanese. They are not the same. People got to come to terms with where this is going, and I don't like when I see this and then knowing how PlayStation can be. I don't want to see how PlayStation is treating the video game industry next generation. I don't want to see where they price their hardware at. Before they revealed the PlayStation 5, remember back in 2020, it was this long standoff between them and Xbox and who would reveal their price first?
Mm-hmm.
I really kind of feel like they both wanted to go at $600, but they knew the other, probably wouldn't. And so they didn't. PlayStation will have no such concerns or any kind of reservations to do that next generation.
Hmm.
When your competitors are even less competitive, yeah, there's no need to do that. Price it however you want to price it. What are the repercussions going to be for, when you are dominating the console gaming hemisphere, as well as Nintendo as well, right? And you don't have much competition to stop you from doing so. Software wise, you know, how they price their games, how they price their services. You already seen it with them raising prices of PS Plus with zero additional benefits to those who have those services. I canceled because for
Yeah,
me it's not necessary for me, but for those who are primary PlayStation gamers who play their online multiplayer games through PlayStation, you that's a tough pill to swallow.
right.
And so it's not just, well, this doesn't really do anything to Xbox gamers. No, there's a lot of implications to this stuff. And I don't like, and I made a tweet about this earlier because I'm kind of sick and tired of seeing some of these engagement merchants.
Mhm.
I call them engagement merchants, and they are people who lack any kind of integrity whatsoever. Because even when they get called out for their foolishness, that their only response is, "Oh, I can't change my mind." No, you can't change your mind. Because as quickly as for you to be changing your mind this quickly, which always seems to coincide with, the corporations changing their mind, you just seem like a shill. Not that you changed your mind. You just don't seem to have any integrity or any opinions that are your own. Or if you do have opinions that are your own, you're making sure that your opinions aren't preventing you from getting the bag.
Hmm.
And I'm sick and tired of these people taking anyone who disagrees with them about exclusives and calling it console war garbage or console war jargon, or people just being console warriors. And it's just like, you can't put everybody all in the same box, because that's not it. You can't say that every argument against this is just a console warrior argument. Even the ones that are well thought out and bring data to the discussion, like, sorry, you're not gonna gaslight me into thinking this is just a console warrior thing. I'm not even a console warrior. I'm a primarily PC gamer. So when I tell you I think this is bad for the industry, and I give reasons why this is bad for the industry, and I show where the platform is right now, and due to where this platform is where it is right now, and how these things could make it worse, your argument back to me can't be, "Oh, you're just console warring." Well, no, you just don't have a counter argument. So this is your lame excuse.
Mhm.
And I'm just kind of tired of seeing these statements being made by clear, disingenuous, bad actors who do not care about the gaming industry, do not care about the gaming community. All they care about is making sure that they still get their access. And it's obvious when you see them championing exclusives for other platforms, and that those games, and not bringing up the fact that the company who publishes those games or got the marketing for those games is clearly pro exclusives. But then when it comes to Xbox, oh, now you're anti-exclusives.
Mhm.
No, what you are is anti-integrity, because you have none. Because you're gonna say whatever it takes to make sure that you get the next big release early, so you can brag it on the timeline to everybody about how you've been playing this game. So miss me with that. Now, sorry with that tangent. I just,
No, it's good.
I
I mean,
am,
a lot of people have those type of takes right now. Look at some of the most starch, Xbox supporters like Tim Dog, and he's like through. Like, I've never seen like, and I expect it because those are people that went really hard for the brand. and they're through with this whole direction that they're going in it. And like I said, it doesn't bother me to the extent as it bothers other people because I'm pretty much like you. Even though I don't identify, more as a PC gamer, but I have the ability to play those games wherever I want to. So it's kind of hard to take that stance and say this is wrong, this is stupid that you're doing this because it doesn't matter to me. I just want to play good games and play them wherever I can play them at. My only thing, like I said, and I made a video about it. My only pushback on this whole thing is, you know, if you want to keep Xbox, and maybe this goes back to the thing you said earlier, where you was like, this is like almost a death knell to the brand. You know, if Halo was to make a move like this, to me, then there's really no Xbox anymore. At this point, you're a glorified publisher that just happens to make a console. And so the thing I want to ask you, well, two things I want to ask you. What do you think this means long term? Because we see Microsoft going in this direction. So at this point, we have to assume that everything is going. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of stupid for you not to assume that everything's going based off the stuff they've been saying. So, what do you think this is going to mean for PlayStation, in particular, because I think Nintendo is just, they're going to benefit by proxy just for the fact that they have one of the most successful consoles out there, but they don't really act in the same lane as PlayStation and Xbox do. So, how do you think this is going to affect PlayStation in general, in a good way or a negative way, with Xbox making these type of moves?
I think for them, it makes them the work they do a bit easier. I think they won't need to push so hard on the marketing front. I think their studios, and they talk about this all the time about how they're self motivated, they're not motivated in competition of other rival platforms, but within competition of themselves. I think some of that is cat. I think some of
Hmm.
that is just marketing, so to speak, and marketing of a brand, which is good marketing. But I think in practice, when you don't have that level of competition anymore, I think it's natural to expect some of these studios, to relax and relent and
Hmm.
not push as well. And I think Hiroki, the interim CEO, if you look at some of the words that he said, they already are deciding, due to how the industry has been moving, to push back on some things, and wanting the studios to understand the business better. And I believe where we're at with that is that we may be seeing budgets shrink a little,
Hmm.
and that doesn't necessarily mean the quality of the games gets worse, but you may not see the level of like cinematography that we see, and that the leveraging of Sony pictures and mocapping everything, performance capture everything. All we may not see that in all the games, and it may not be fully necessary anymore. And they might put their foot off the throttle. Who knows, right? But financially, this would be great for Sony, but for gamers, this we don't give a crap about fun, really,
Right.
about Sony's financials. I don't care. If you're an investor in Sony, sure, you're probably benefiting from this, and hey, you may be somewhat conflicted as you look at your dividend, and then you're also looking at what they're doing to the industry. But as a
Right.
gamer, I don't. Less competition is never good. It's never good in any industry, and so this is. I think this is where we at. I think that's where PlayStation is heading towards.
Yeah. Um. It's man. Why do I feel like it's the death of a family member when it comes to, because you never expect, like, not slow mo. Just think about all of the just think about all of the podcasts and all of the conversations being had about the court case with ABK. Because let's be fair, this is all stemming off of the ABK. Like I feel like if Microsoft would have never purchased Activision Blizzard, maybe it might have been a completely different conversation around Xbox, because if you look, because we got all that leaked emails and information about Phil Spencer saying that if they don't hit a certain threshold inside the Game Pass subscriber numbers, that they might have to rethink what they're doing inside of the gaming in general. So he also said in the same that Activision Blizzard isn't the plan to see accelerator to the plan. So maybe ABK had to be purchased for Xbox to even exist, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. But that's what this kind of feels like at this point, because I think people always looked at Xbox and said Xbox won't fail because Microsoft's behind it. Microsoft can fund this to oblivion if they want to, and they'll lose, Microsoft is going to lose all this money. But I always thought people didn't really look at the finer points of that. Microsoft's in it to make money too, and they're not going to just continue to keep losing money, because guess what? The reason they made trillions of dollars and the reason they are the most wealthiest company in the world is because they don't typically lose money, and none of their
Question
divisions
for you.
typically lose money. Yeah, go ahead.
Big question for you. So Matt, so they're making these moves, and I'm gonna say this. I am 100% in the belief that you're going to see one of those big, matter of fact, not one. You're going to see the majority, or maybe all of these big Xbox IP heading to these other platforms too.
Right.
Maybe not, right away, but it's coming, and it's coming fast. Pause. What if these games don't sell on other platforms?
Now listen. That's a whole
What
nother
if they
story.
did all this
and still don't get no
don't
traction?
sell?
And still get no traction. Because
look, this outside of you buying Pentiment, weirdly on the Switch when you had it available already on Xbox.
So
Outside of you doing that, I do not see Pentiment, Sea of Thieves,
yeah,
Hi-Fi Rush, or Grounded getting major traction on these other platforms. Maybe Hi-Fi Rush on Switch, maybe Hi-Fi Rush period. I don't know. Maybe that might be the only one, but the rest of them, no. And I can see two scenarios where they look at this and they say, "Oh, we chose the wrong games. Let's choose better games." Or if they were a commercial success, they say, "Ooh, we making more money. Let's put more of our games over there." Either way, they're putting more of their games over there, right? But if this sells terribly, what then? You gave up, you damaged your brand to get the bag, and you didn't even get the bag.
Yeah. So to answer that question, it actually is an easy answer to it. I think, like I said earlier, or a couple of podcasts ago, Xbox or Microsoft got the chance to see up close and personal what revenue at the level of ridiculousness you can see inside of gaming could be, which they got with Call of Duty. So they saw those numbers really come in and see what they could be making in gaming, and that's just with one game, and that's not even seeing the whole portfolio of what they're doing in mobile. They literally became the third most important part of Microsoft inside of Microsoft, above Windows, which was unfathomable a year ago. I mean, nobody ever thought Xbox would be that far up there. So as long as this always goes back to Call of Duty. As long as games like Call of Duty and the mobile division can stay where they are, then I don't think it would really hurt them as much. But to your point, ain't a lot of people, like I said, why people mad? A lot of people ain't out here looking for Pentiment. A lot of people ain't out here looking for Sea of Thieves and Grounded and Hi-Fi Rush. Those aren't games that are going to move the needle. That's why I wasn't really upset about those titles, because there are games that move the needle. Starfield moved the needle for Xbox in a good or a bad way, depending on how you took it or how you perceived the overall narrative and discussion around Starfield. It moved the needle. It had 10 million people playing it on Steam. It had a crazy amount of people playing it inside of Game Pass. So it moved the needle. I believe games like Hellblade are going to definitely move the needle on Xbox, because that's a game that a lot of people are looking for. I don't know how much it's going to move on like Steam. It might just because it's an anticipated game might do really well on Steam, but I expect Hellblade to do really well on Steam. Whenever it does, because I'm not going to say when it does, whenever it does come to PlayStation, I think it will do well over there, because it was a game that was born on PlayStation because it was there first. So, but not every title is going to do that. You know, Elder Scrolls 6, when it finally does come out, if they do what a lot of people think they're going to do and do the two-prong approach and put it in Game Pass day and date and make you wait to play it on competing platforms, still day and date on PC, but when it comes to like other consoles, make you wait 6 months to a year or whatever that's going to be. I can see some people waiting, but I can see a lot of people buying consoles for that. But ultimately, the majority of the games they put out, a lot of people aren't going to buy, because people didn't want to buy the games. They buy an Xbox to buy those games. And that's the whole thing gaming is. They have to entice you to want to purchase the platform in order to buy it. And that's the whole thing that leads back to the 360 generation. I am of full thought that Xbox 360, most of its is love, and it definitely deserved it, because they did the thing back then. Most of their love was garnered from the fact that it came out first. It came out at a cheaper price, because PlayStation was super, super expensive. $600 for a brand new console was ridiculous. Xbox 360 was $200, almost $300. I think it was $300 less or $200 less, which is back then was a ridiculous deal at 2005. And I think a lot of people that normally are PlayStation gamers, and this is the one thing I will always give B Money his credit for. He says it all the time. People don't like Xbox like that. Like, people say they like Xbox like that, but they don't.
No, yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, a lot people they don't really care for Xbox like they say they do. Like, yeah, there's people out there like Tim Dog and them, and like me and you. We grew up just liking games, so of course we liked Xbox. Xbox was cool. We liked what Xbox brought. But a lot of those people that bought Xbox 360s, they were just gamers, and PlayStation just wasn't viable for them at that moment. But guess what? The moment PlayStation became viable, people bought a PlayStation. So that was the reason you saw such a divide between Xbox and PlayStation back in 2005 all the way through 2011, to where that generation pretty much came to a screeching halt. A lot of people that own Xboxes bought PlayStations when they finally could buy a PlayStation, because it was a reason to buy one. Ever since 2011, Xbox didn't give gamers that are on the PlayStation side, like true PlayStation gamers, they didn't give them a reason to buy an Xbox. People were always going to buy a PlayStation. I always bought a PlayStation. I grew up playing Nintendo, and PlayStation was my first. Well, it wasn't my first 3D system, but it's the one that I really went hard in gaming in. The original PlayStation, PlayStation 2. Everybody that's of our age pretty much had a PlayStation. Xbox did something different. They brought an ecosystem with games, the ability to communicate with your friends online in a more seamless way.
What kind of games do they bring?
Exclusive games. And
okay,
shooters,
yeah, just want to make sure that we were talking about that.
Yes,
yeah.
Exclusive games, exclusive games. They brought games to the ecosystem. Like I always told you, I was going to buy Halo on PC, and I went out and bought a graphics card just to play that game because it was being marketed for that game. And I instantly switched up my whole thought process when Microsoft bought them. I still had the graphics card, but I was expected to be a PC gamer at that point. I turned into an Xbox gamer the moment that that game came out. And that was the reason I bought it. And then all of the other things that Xbox offered kept us in the ecosystem. But that's the thing though, we never stopped being fans of other platforms. I never stopped being a fan of Nintendo. I never stopped being a fan of PlayStation. Xbox just happened to be the platform that I wanted to rock with consistently all the time because they were giving me the stuff that I cared about the most. The experience of playing with my friends and really good exclusive games that you couldn't play anywhere else. And over the course of a 10-year period, Xbox lost that. They stopped producing games. They started closing first-party studios. They went all the way to 2014 with 4 first-party studios, bro. How can you be a platform holder with 4 first-party studios going into 2015? And then it takes you 4 years to fix that problem by purchasing all the studios you did. Now, I think they got bit by the bug of bad luck due to the fact that COVID really set them back. And it just happened to be the fact that they bought all those studios at the wrong time because all those studios had obligations to other publishers that they were making games for other platforms. So they were never going to see the return of investment with their own player base with the games that they were making because those games were already committed to somewhere else. This is when you were supposed to be, as a gamer of an Xbox, was supposed to be like, I get to enjoy the fruits of the labor of what Xbox did for us over the course of the last 6 to 7 years. But now they feel like we ain't good enough. They feel like gamers on Xbox aren't good enough, so we're going to give these games to other people. And that's where everybody's upset about it. So just to put it all in perspective, Call of Duty, who knows what they're going to do with that game? That game could be in Game Pass next year. It could be in Game Pass the year after that. They could slow walk this whole process. But it's just the fact that the Xbox that we all grew up loving is not the same Xbox that's there today. It's a completely different Xbox with a completely different mindset, which is more in line to what the vision of Microsoft is. And that's the thing that people got to realize. Microsoft is about services, business, monthly active users. It ain't about how much you're selling when it comes to like a piece of hardware. They've been out of the hardware business a long time ago due to the fact that they're trying to find a way to offload Windows, so it's not even part of a machine at this point. It's all virtual at that point. So that just kind of lets you know where that company's moving at this point. But just remember, if anything that I said, just remember this. We were all fans of something else before Xbox even got here. And as much as everybody wants to say they love Xbox, and I love Xbox because of what they gave me as a gamer, and I'll never forget it. I'll never forget taking a TV, a Sony Trinitron that weighed almost 100 pounds to another dude's house to play Halo. That was some great times in my life. I'll never forget it. But guess what? I also will never forget, I stood in line in 1995 and got my PlayStation. I'll never forget that I got my PlayStation 2 and stood in line at Best Buy when Madden came out for the first time and they put stadium lights in the game. And that was literally the reason I bought a PS2 at that time, is because Madden had stadium lights, because I was a huge sports fan back then. Those are all reasons that I bought that system. And I never left away from being a gamer that enjoyed stuff like that. And guess what? There are way more gamers like that than there are gamers like me that are willing to buy multiple platforms and take advantage of the ecosystem no matter where you are. Microsoft got lucky in 2005 that PlayStation wasn't ready and that they had a really good offering of games that got people into the ecosystem. And they knocked it out of the park with first party and third party and second party deals that you couldn't get anywhere else. But once PlayStation caught up and the gamers that supported PlayStation started buying their system, Microsoft got a chance to see exactly what they were up against. And I feel like at that point, that's when they lost it, because they kind of gave up on not just gaming. I just feel like they didn't do what they needed to do back in 2011 to keep that momentum going. I'm done preaching. I mean, what do you got? Anything else you want to say on this, slow mo?
No, not really. It's I think we've nailed everything. It's we will see this year people we're going to see more of I think of the Xbox community turning their back on what Xbox is Xbox's direction as the year goes on, and more
Yeah.
games are revealed to be coming to being multi-platform, because there are people who are out here just like, oh, it's just these games no one cares about,
Yeah.
and
You're right.
they're not really seeing what's really happening here. Like you want to hold the line, and that's fine, but you holding the line, and there's no line behind you. The people you holding the line for not standing with you.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be the vanguard in that battle, and the vanguard is supposed to have reinforcements coming in behind them. There ain't nothing coming, because the people you holding the line for are not holding the line for you too. They not on
Yeah.
the battlefield with you.
Yeah.
And I think people will see that for what it is as this year goes on. More of these games going to other platforms, and you getting nothing back
Yeah.
in terms of games from other platforms coming to you. The people were misinterpreting Hiroki and trying to think that he's talking about PlayStation games going to Xbox. That he
Mm-hmm.
wasn't talking about that.
No, yeah, that was a whole other thing. People were trying to, well, see, he's doing the same thing. No, he literally said the platforms that they wanted to focus on, along with say keeping what is special to them important, which is the PlayStation brand. I mean, you can't say it any different than that. Now, guess what? That can change in the future, just like everything else can change. Just like they was not putting games on PC 5 years ago. Who's not to say that day and date isn't in their future? But I'm not about to, until they actually come out, start talking like Xbox is talking. I'm not going to say they're going to do day and date. I mean, I have an idea that they might start doing it, but I'm not committing to that because they didn't say anything that make us feel like they're going to commit to that. But ultimately, it's just, man, I think that real Xbox gamers get a bad break because they're real fans. I do, as much as I do see a lot of people capping when it comes to like all of the stuff that's going on. I feel their pain because guess what? They probably grew up in a world where Xbox was the predominant platform and they never really experienced all these other ones. Now the ones that are older and be capping and they definitely played the Genesis and PlayStations and all that other stuff. They understand what the lineage of all these other systems and stuff are. So those are the people that I look at like, okay, dude, you're kind of being a little extra when it comes to this. But there's a lot of gamers out there that literally bought Xbox and they bought into the ecosystem. And those are the ones I feel bad about because they're the ones that's getting kind of jaded, kind of screwed over in this whole thing because they told, like, when you talk about hold the line, there are some people that held the line to a fault. They believed everything Microsoft said, they hung on every word that they said. And the direction that they're going in now, like I said, it's not terrible. Slow-mo thinks it's the worst thing ever because it's killing the brand. I'm just disappointed that they didn't give it. They could have made these changes at any time. They just happened to make it, or they're happening to making it happen during a time where they're going to have the most exclusive games, well, quote unquote exclusive games at this point that are releasing on their platform, and they can really gauge, like they could really gauge what the Xbox community could be about. They could do that right now. If they
But that's also part of the problem, right? Is that like they didn't even give their
they didn't
games
give
a
them a
chance
chance.
to,
That's the thing.
yeah,
No chance. Go ahead. No, go ahead. 'Cause that's what I was saying. But go ahead.
Yeah, they didn't even give it a chance to actually work.
Right.
The way that they said they were trying to do it. Like this isn't like people making up a narrative. This is people using the words that they said before about what they were acquiring these studios for, and accepting it as is. And it's just it's them changing and giving up on the very things that they said that they were making these moves for before they even give them opportunity to work. You know, I said before that like they acquired studios when they first started acquiring studios and publishers back in 2018. That some of those studios haven't even dropped a single game on the Xbox yet.
In facts, they still haven't.
But before they can drop their game, and they freely admit, as we all know, the AAA development takes longer now.
Yeah.
So it's here we are on year 6 of some of those studios, not quite 6 years yet because they were acquired in the summer, and it's still early, you know, very early 2024. But 5 years in, nearly 6 years in, and you're like, too late. We're not going to wait. We're not going to see this process through.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't want
Yeah.
to rant. I don't want to cry about it. I don't want to rant about it no more. It's just super upsetting to just see the community act the way that they're acting, because I do think there are people out there that are a little upset about it, and they have every right to be, because if you listen to what Microsoft said, you took them at face value of what they were saying, and you didn't listen to every little Phil Spencer interview or every Satya Nadella interview or conference that he did where they talked about exclusives. He hates exclusives, or Phil Spencer talking about he wants to have an open ecosystem where gamers can play wherever they want to. If you didn't listen to everything these executives said, then you would think that the Xbox console was the most important thing to them, because you would think that they went out and spent $77 billion in acquisitions, probably closer to $80 billion in acquisitions, just so you could have exclusive games on your platform. And just to find out in the year 2024, that wasn't the case. So food for thought, but it's upsetting, but it's gaming. At least we know we'll still be able to play those games no matter where we are. Um, and you have the option now to decide if you want to stick it out with Xbox and keep purchasing games. I wouldn't be a person that gets rid of a console, because I don't think it's that serious.
Nah.
Don't go out selling your Xbox because you're upset. Like, don't be that type of gamer. You can still speak with your wallet by not supporting certain things that are coming, and then make a decision when it comes to next generation, because I think ultimately that's going to really what's going to spell it out for Microsoft next generation, when they talk about making this brand new console that they're supposedly making, which they are making because it's already been not announced, but they openly talked about another generation. I wonder how many people are going to buy into that ecosystem with the direction Xbox is going in, knowing that PlayStation will most likely have everything that's coming to Xbox. So food for thought. Let's just leave it at that. But Slow Mo, great show, man. Really appreciate you. Great job on the first half on the show. Amazing input on this last topic. I appreciate you. Please let everybody know where they can find you, what you got going on, and when you're going to make a video telling us about all the cool things that you got going on.
Videos coming soon. I'm not going to give a date on it because y'all know how I am. I get distracted. I don't know if I got ADHD or something. I don't know. I'm trying. So videos are coming soon. I'm still working on some of the ones I mentioned earlier in previous episodes, as well as some other ones that I've thought of putting in the work in on. So look forward to seeing them soon. And but I will say this for certain: tomorrow, Final Fantasy VII remake stream, as we're getting into the ending of that game, will be tomorrow on this channel, the DPS podcast channel. So come check that out. And hope you guys enjoy your games. Have a great weekend.
Absolutely. And just to let you guys know, Xbox might be changing, but DPS ain't. we gonna still be the same dudes that's gonna come in here and make fun of Anonymous for trying to make fun of us about Xbox, and we gonna still make fun of everybody else that's in our chat about the things that they talk about, and we still gonna give y'all that smoke if y'all say something stupid. But we love you, and we gonna treat y'all the same way that y'all treat us, with love and respect, and be fair about everything, because we are a community and we appreciate everything you guys do for us. It's amazing. Shout out to the poll. We had 27% of the people say PlayStation for the win. 47 say I hate the direction that Xbox is going in, and 27% says I am very indifferent to the matter. So really appreciate what you guys had to say around that. But we
I was told polls don't matter. That's what I was told.
Well,
polls don't matter because you can't poll every single person on the planet, so therefore they're irrelevant. That's what I was told when nearly 40,000, like 50,000 people voted at 70%. Said that exclusives is why they buy consoles. Doesn't matter all those 50,000 hardcore gamers. You know, all the casual gamers just wanted to play with their friends. Really, we'll prove it.
Right.
Huh? Prove what? Oh, I got somewhere to be. I gotta watch paint dry. They gone. You know, it's funny.
And if you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button. And thank you, whoever hit it. We hit 200 subscribers on this channel during the show. Really appreciate it. So if you haven't subbed to the DPS channel, this is the place that we're going to be moving the podcast over in the near future. Once we hit 500 subs on it, we're going to move everything over here. So you'll have one place to get all your DPS information and stuff from when it comes to like podcasts and streams and everything like that. So if you haven't, hit the like button, hit the sub button on it, and we will see you guys next week for episode. Oh, you know what? I almost forgot. Shout out to Texas, Corey Hale, your boy Roy, FTW, Donnell Brown, Brat Basement Radio Arcade Podcast, Ramon Terrell, Hargi Shani, Slomo Backslash, DJ Oris, and that guy Smitty. Those are our channel members. We really appreciate all the love that you guys give us on that. And I'm probably going to do like a community poll one of these days on the DPS channel and ask you guys how you guys want to be immortalized on DPS, because we won't be able to move the channel members over to this channel because YouTube just doesn't work that way. I'm thinking of like in the background, maybe during the effect that's going on in the background, just having the people that subscribe to both our channels and having their names like scroll as like ever living, you know, background noise inside of the videos. That would be a good way, so you can always see your name in the background and you'll be like a grandfathered in, you know, supporter and something like that, just to show love to you. But we'll put out a poll asking you guys some ideas on what you guys think we can do to, you know, immortalize you guys with DPS when we decide to make that change over fully. Do you have yours up, Slow-Mo?
Yeah. Shout out to Texas. Your boy Roy Stardust Acero, FTW, Corey Hale, Donnell Brown, J0387, Enrique Hargi Shani, Ramon Terrell, Homie One Kenobi, Game Force, and that guy Smitty.
Awesome.
Appreciate you guys. We will get up out of here. It's late.
Yep.
We've been going on for a while. Enjoy, as we said before, enjoy your games. Have a great weekend. Yep. And peace.
Peace, guys. Appreciate y'all.